Hi, everybody. It's Miss Kim back with another story. Butterflies are some of the most beautiful bugs on God's green earth, but sometimes they need a little help. Like in our story today, Mr. McGinty's Monarchs. Let's see how Mr. McGinty helps out his bug friends. The story was written by Linda Vanderhayden, and the pictures are by Aline Ryan Ewen. Here we go. Ooh, and on our inside cover, we can see lots of different kinds of butterflies. And they're beautiful. That looks like a good picture someone drew. Mr. McGinty's Monarchs. On lazy afternoons, Mr. McGinty watched monarchs dip and rise on the summer breeze. With his magnifying glass, he studied them sipping sweet nectar from the flowers. And when Mr. McGinty and Sophie, there's his dog, went for long walks, he marveled as monarchs flitted and fluttered from milkweed to milkweed, laying eggs. Milkweed's the only plant a monarch used to lay its eggs, he told Sophie. When the eggs hatch, the caterpillars feed on the leaves. What do you think of that? Sophie's tail thumped. Summer slipped by quickly. One morning, Mr. McGinty awoke with Sophie's warm breath on his face. Come on, girl, let's check on the monarchs. And when they reached the stretch of road where the milkweed grew thick, Mr. McGinty's shoulders dropped, and his lower lip trembled. All the beautiful plants lay on the ground. Someone mowed them all away. Mr. McGinty examined the cut stems. Monarch caterpillars clung to the drying milkweed. Some stretched their striped bodies, searching for a place to climb. You can see some of them on the ground. The poor caterpillars. Someone destroyed their home. Hurrying home, Mr. McGinty loaded an old wagon with jars. Its rusted wheels squeaked as he pulled it from the shed. Hurry, Sophie, he called. We're going on a monarch mission. Squeak, creak, squeak, creak, squeak, creak. Mr. McGinty carefully picked up each monarch caterpillar. Bet you didn't know these little wigglers are also called larvae, huh, Soph? Sophie sniffed at a caterpillar. Cars slowed. People shook their heads. Lots of fuss over some fancy worms, one woman said. Mr. McGinty paid no heed. With gentle fingers, he lifted each leaf and lowered each larva. Soon his jars were full of wriggling, wiggling, stretching caterpillars. Time to go home, girl, he patted Sophie's head. Mr. McGinty, Sophie, and the wagon full of wriggling, wiggling, stretching caterpillars rolled along. Squeak, creak, squeak, creak, squeak, creak. Mr. McGinty purchased aquariums. Lots of aquariums. He lined the bottoms with sticks and milkweed leaves. He placed the caterpillars inside and covered each aquarium with a screen. Stroking Sophie's ears, he watched the caterpillars feast on fresh leaves. Mr. McGinty slumped into his chair. How will we ever take care of all these caterpillars, Sophie? They'll need fresh milkweed leaves every day. They'll need someone to watch them as they grow, and someone to release them after they become butterflies. Mr. McGinty sat up straight and snapped his fingers. Sophie, he said, I've got it. He has an idea. The next morning, he and Sophie loaded the truck with caterpillars. They drove to a nearby school. Mr. McGinty taught the children about the life cycle of monarchs, from eggs to caterpillars to chrysalises to butterflies, and the milkweed that they lay their eggs on. When these caterpillars become butterflies, he said, they'll migrate. He left an aquarium of wiggling, wriggling, stretching monarch caterpillars with each classroom so the children could feed and take care of them. At the end of the day, Mr. McGinty had one aquarium left. His eyes sparkled. "Looks like this one's coming home with us, Sophie." Every day, Mr. McGinty fed the caterpillars fresh milkweed leaves. The monarch caterpillars grew and grew. They formed chrysalises until finally, wow. When the monarchs had straightened their wings and were strong enough to fly, Mr. McGinty rolled out the old wagon one more time. Squeak, creak, squeak, creak, squeak, creak. "Ready, Sophie?" Mr. McGinty laughed. Woof! Sophie danced around his feet. Even Sophie's excited. They joined the children on the playground. Together, they lifted the screens from the aquariums. One after another, monarchs spread their wings and flew up, up, up. Look at that release. Can you imagine being in the middle of that? That must be so beautiful. An early autumn breeze brushed against Mr. McGinty's cheek. He watched as monarchs fluttered, feather light across the field. "They have a long way to go," said Mr. McGinty, "but they'll be back." Sophie licked him on the nose. "And we'll be here to welcome them home." And there they are again. All the beautiful monarchs that Mr. McGinty helped to save. My friends, there are a lot of animals that need our help, and we can do our part. You can have bird feeders to help the birds who are migrating. You can help monarch butterflies like Mr. McGinty did. There are so many things that you can do. Ask your grown-up to help you find ways to help the animals that live near you. All right, well, I gotta go help some animals. I'll see you another day. Bye, everybody.